Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's safe and well. If you need help, you're struggling, don't hesitate to reach out. Find the courage within yourself to ask for help. That being said, I was in a meeting yesterday and I wanted to talk about motivation today because, we're doing a little thing at a meeting. It's called an Ask It basket, and someone put in, so what you do, you go to a meeting and you sort of like write a question down and you put it in the basket, and the basket goes around the room and people pick questions out and sort of like reflect and share about what's going on for that question, or to give their experience on that question. And one of the questions was how do we find motivation? How do we get motivation? And it took me right back to the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like right back to when I first realised that I had a problem and I started to come into recovery, and I just couldn't find the drive or the momentum to do anything good for myself. I felt like I was paralysed at the time, because I didn't have any self-love or didn't have any self-esteem. My self-esteem was shot to shit, and I didn't have that courage and faith to drive me forward. And it was just like, fucking what's the point anyway? I was suffering from some sort of mental instability to some extent, through using drugs for a long period of time. And when I stopped taking drugs, I didn't have substances to drive me forward. I didn't have the means and ways to get more. I didn't have the drive or the motivation to get up and get out of bed anymore. It was like, what's the fucking point? I was living in shame, guilt, resentment, anger, self-pity, self-loathing, procrastination. These were all like defects of character that I had built over the time that I was using as a using addict in active addiction. And when I stopped using substances, I didn't have the drive to do anything else. It was just like, I'm fucking done. You know what I mean? And I can still fall into these traps nowadays, even finding the motivation today. But I know I've got that little bit of self-love today. And I've got some self-esteem today. I've got the ability to be honest with myself today. And I've got the ability to be real with Neil, do you know what I mean? And tell myself, if I stop doing certain things, I will find myself with literally no motivation whatsoever. I don't think we get motivation. I don't think we find motivation. I think motivation is something that is created through a motive. Motivation implies that we're doing something continuously. We need a motive. See, there's a couple of things that can motivate me, what I can concentrate on, and it's important to concentrate or change or reflect on your awareness to a point in time of where you might want to do something in order to make you go forward. See, I always like to set myself little sustainable, achievable goals, just like making sure I get up at the same time in the morning. Just as simple as that, no matter what, I'm going to get up at 7 or 6 every single morning and just start with that. And I'm going to go to the gym today. I'm going to try new things. I'm going to go for a run or a walk today. I'm going to pick up the literature. I'm going to read a book today. I'm going to put down my phone today, and or I'm going to pick up my phone today and I'm going to start ringing people for the numbers that I get provided in a meeting when I go to a meeting, make them connections with new people. When I start making them connections with new people and I start reading the literature instead of scrolling through reels on my phone, and I go out for that bit of a walk that I can't be bothered doing, and I get up and I tip up and I go to the gym, and I start eating that little bit better, eventually I start to create more momentum, and with momentum comes the motivation to continue, because once I do that for a couple of days, I start feeling a little bit better in myself, and the evidence is there straight in front of me, that if I carry on doing this, it's just going to get better and better. It gets the ball rolling. And I know that motivation comes in leaps and bounds, It's like 1 minute I can feel really motivated and I can go through my day and absolutely get loads done. And some days I have no motivation whatsoever and I push through anyway. because if I allow that ball to stop rolling, it's twice as hard to get it moving again. Procrastination is just something that comes from a lack of self-esteem. If you're holding back or you're procrastinating when it comes to anything that's going to be beneficial to you, when it comes to mental, physical and spiritual and educational growth, then that is just coming from a low point of self-esteem. You know, you're robbing yourself again. I spent all my active addiction and most of my early days of sobriety still continuing to fucking shortchange myself by not doing the next right thing and procrastinating and self-loathing and living in self-pity. And it was only when I realised that I had to create my own motivation, then motivation starts to reflect back at me, and the more motivated I am, the more opportunities arise. The more opportunities arise, the more options I have to seek, the more things I want to do, the more positive I become. You know, new doors start to open, the options just completely get endless, you know what I mean? And I can go, you know, well, I really want to do this and this now, do you know what I mean? Or I want to do this and this now. I never knew I liked this, and this is going to require some sort of little acts of discipline or routine in my daily life that are going to get me up, get me motivated. And when I fall into this pattern and consistently, vigorously turning up and tipping up for Neil all the time, I find myself living in motivation. You know, I can find motivation from just looking back on my life and going, I don't want to go back to where I was. That can be a motivation. I can use that as a springboard to fucking project me into my future. I can set little sustainable goals in my future to pull me forward. I think it's important to have complete acceptance for where you are right now. Have something that's going to push you forward and something that's going to pull you into your future. You know, have some sort of idea or desire that's going to pull you into your future and who you want to be and how you want to see that and feel in your future. And have a look at your past and recognize it and accept it for what it is, and tell yourself that if you don't do certain things, you are slowly going to end up back in that same place. And if you just sit in the middle and you become stagnant, you're shortchanging yourself once again, which is nothing short of just being what they call a dry drunk, or, you know, self-loathing, self-pitying. I've sat in that procrastination period of my recovery where I didn't really have any motivation, and I felt like I was just rotting from the inside out. And eventually, if I stay there for long enough, I will just convince myself to return back to my old behaviour. Now I want to look at my old behaviour and use that for fuel for my fire, do you know what I mean? And go, look, I'm fucking done with that. I'm sick of fucking living that sort of way. I desire a new way to live. My new way to live requires me to be happy, healthy, persistent, vigorously honest. It requires discipline, vigorous discipline. You know, even just the smallest disciplines can start with getting up in the morning, swapping screen time for fucking reading a book, educating yourself, going to bed early, you know, endurance training, or even just something as simple as just a short walk every day at the same time. You can start to add prayer and meditation into this stuff as well, do you know what I mean? To just find that peace and balance and the courage and faith in a higher power to also guide you. Ring other people continuously, you know, get that positivity, draw that energy, get that power, you know. Ring somebody else and say, look, I'm not feeling very motivated today, you know, I feel a bit like this, I feel a bit like that, and someone will say, come on then, let's go and do this, let's go and do that, and before you know it, you're well on your way. But I think it's important that stop thinking that motivation's going to turn up at your door and just go, here I am, you know, there's loads of me, you can have as much as you want. Motivation comes from a motive, you know, it's created. We have to create our own momentum and motivation. Find something that's going to pull you forward. Find something that you desire. Have a look into your future and have a little pray and meditate about where you want to be and who you want to be and how you want to feel and how you would feel when you get there, and that sense of achievement, and allow that to pull you forward into your future. Have a look at your past, reflect on your past, have some acceptance around it, recognize it, be self-honest, apply some discipline, and go, you know what, I do not want to end up back there. For me to not go back there, I need to do X, Y, and Z. You know, some simple disciplines, and do this for just a short period of time, and you'll start to see the benefits. Once you start to see the benefits, repeat the pattern. You know, maybe change a few things. You know, we're here to learn, we're here to try, we're here to get up and tip up for each and every one of us. Stay blessed, you're doing great. The fact that you're asking questions and you're fucking inquisitive means that you've got the desire to change. I hope this video helps somebody. Stay blessed, guys. Have a fucking fantastic day.